minutes. If everybody could get seated, we'll be out in 2 minutes. Wait for everybody to get seated. Good morning, everyone. I'm Justin Mulcahy, Executive Assistant to Anne Arundel County Chief of Police Amal Awad. Thank you all for joining us this morning on this special occasion for this announcement and presentation regarding the Anne Arundel County Crisis Intervention Team. I'd like to introduce our speakers first this morning, beginning with our honored guest, Mr. Bart Oates. He's the Executive Director of CIT International, and he's going to speak on the recognition his organization is giving to Anne Arundel County's CIT. We're also joined by Anne Arundel County Executive Stuart Pittman, Chief of Police Amal Awad. We're also joined by our council members, Ms. Allison Pickard from District 2, and Mr. Pete Smith from District 1. We also have in attendance Ms. Adrienne Mickler, the Executive Director for Anne Arundel County Mental Health Agency. Also joining us, Lieutenant Steve Thomas of the Police Department's Crisis Intervention Team, and Ms. Jen Corbin, Director of Crisis Response for Anne Arundel County. And finally, we are blessed to be joined by Melissa Owens, who is going to be available to speak afterwards to the press for any interviews about how CIT assisted her in her life. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over now to Mr. Bart Oates. Sir.
Thank you, Justin, and thank you for being here. It's an honor for me to be able to attend this press conference and to be a part of it, and I appreciate that invitation. And I came down from New Jersey this morning, so traffic was nice and easy. So CIT International, I am the Executive Director. CIT International stands for Crisis Intervention Teams. And I'm here today to recognize a spectacular, outstanding crisis intervention team. We have a certification process, and that certification process has different programs that throughout the country that have their crisis intervention teams will make application. And Arundel County did that some time ago. And I am proud to be here to announce that Arundel was able to, and did, deservedly, received a platinum designation, which is the highest designation certification process, which means that they are exhibiting the highest degree of best practices with respect to their CIT program. And so I am honored today to be able to provide, or to give this designation to the county, that it's the first platinum designation given to a county regional program and the first certification of any type in Maryland. And so it is my honor to present to the county executive and the chief the designation of a platinum certification for their CIT program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This recognition belongs to each and every one of you. Thank you for all you do for the community.
Thank you, Bart. I'll now ask County Executive Pittman to say a few words. Mr. Pittman.
First thing I'll say is that we already knew we were the best. But thank you for the recognition. In fact, it's not the first recognition. I remember we won that award in the past, but I know that the process of determining whether we get platinum status is very thorough, and that I understand that we're the first regional CIT in the world to get platinum status. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I was told, and I'm not surprised. You know, we in county government, and really the residents of our county, know that our crisis intervention teams are truly extraordinary, and that the model that we created, Lieutenant Thomas and Jen Corbin really, I think, created it more than anybody. And then these men and women that walked in their blue shirts, I don't know if you felt it, but I felt calm knowing that you were in the room. And I think that's how our residents feel. When something tragic happens in our communities, they're out there, they're knocking on doors, they're going to people. And, you know, I think there's the reason that so many jurisdictions come to Anne Arundel County to learn how we do what we do is because in this time, it is absolutely essential that our mental health practitioners and our police officers are really coordinating their work. And our police officers, I know they love this program because it takes 40 hours to get CIT trained, and 28% of all of our officers, 300 and some, hundreds of our officers have participated, even though they're not assigned to the unit. And that shows me that the training, the approach to policing and to mental health crises is working, and it's something that all of our officers and really all of our residents and all of county government are absolutely committed to. And in these wild and crazy times that we live, we're the home of the Crownsville Hospital Center, and we're transforming that into a place of healing. And the stories that we hear of the times when institutions like that were closed, and then the folks that were in those institutions, used to be that the police would send people to Crownsville. Or other institutions like that, knowing that they had mental health challenges. After that, then the people who worked with them saw them on the streets, and often they would end up incarcerated. So the approach that these folks take when they go and visit these people that are in times of crises is absolutely important, and then we have our whole crisis response system that is built around that. So that visit is not the last visit, it's the first visit, and it's absolutely essential to our county. So thank you so much for the recognition. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Pittman. I'll now ask Chief Alwood to come forward for her remarks. Chief.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mulcahy. Good morning to everyone. Before I begin, I'm just inspired to ask our team members, our crisis intervention team members, to please stand and be recognized. God bless you all for all you do. Thank you to our partners, community partners, media partners who are joining us here this morning to celebrate this esteemed recognition of our cohort of compassionate men and women who've just dedicated their lives, essentially, helping others navigate through some of the most difficult moments in their lives. As you've heard, my name is Amal Awad, and I'm blessed to serve as Chief of Police for Anne Arundel County. It's truly an honor for our crisis intervention team, and you know it's also known as CIT, to be awarded this platinum level certification through CIT International. Thank you, sir. We thank you, Mr. Oates, and your team for this distinguished highest honor. Should I repeat that? Our entire community is proud of our crisis response system here in Anne Arundel County. And we couldn't do it without the unwavering support of our county executive, Mr. Pittman, our council members, the entire team, and the entire collective of our community. It truly does take a village to make a difference in folks' lives. And we know that what we're doing, the work we're doing here, has impacts beyond our jurisdiction. The impacts are global. We're also inspired by what we know is the well-known Memphis model, and that originated some time ago. Initially, it was a result of a crisis in Memphis, and their team had the wherewithal to create what we now know as crisis intervention teams. Our team has been fully integrated into the Anne Arundel County Mental Health Agency crisis response system since 2014. And our officers essentially work hand in hand with licensed clinicians to help our community members. Crisis intervention's been one of our communities and our administration's top priorities, a central focus of what we do here, the service we provide for our community members and visitors. The International Association of Chiefs of Police makes a recommendation to agencies throughout the country, law enforcement agencies throughout the country, setting the margin for 25% of a police department. You know, they recommend that 25% of men and women voluntarily become crisis intervention trained certified. You have to have a passion for helping people in these most detrimental moments. So we're very proud that our agency, and inspired by the leadership of our teams, and the stories that everyone has to share about their experiences in helping others, that our department, as you've heard Mr. Pittman say, has reached 28% of our officers voluntarily seeking this certification. And whether it's connecting a child with appropriate behavioral health intervention, eliminating barriers to substance abuse treatment, or diverting people from the criminal justice system to the appropriate behavioral health interventions, our CIT model is changing lives every day. And here's what we know. People are struggling. Our family members are struggling. And how do we know that? Well, because our crisis intervention team, our county's mental health warm line, receives upwards of 3,500 calls a month for people in crisis. That's a lot of people. And I'll just insert here, for those who are listening, and if you're alone, feeling like you could use some help, our warm line telephone number is 410-768-5522. And if you can't remember that and you're in an emergency in a really bad place, dial 988. These calls from our loved ones who may be suffering from a mental health crisis are looking for some form of help or hope or humanity. And that's what our CIT officers and clinicians offer: help, hope, and humanity in moments of crisis and beyond. Our crisis intervention team seeks options outside of arrest when appropriate by providing the resources and level of care needed to address the root cause of a crisis. We know the CIT model works because we've seen and heard success stories. Just a couple years ago, a gentleman joined us on our CIT Today podcast, and we'd arrested this man 50 times, in excess of 50 times. And then our crisis intervention team intervened, and his mental health was diagnosed. He received a diagnosis, and he began receiving the appropriate care that he needed. And what's the result? He stopped offending. He's no longer offending, and he's in a much better place. His life has been changed. He's doing very well, and he's thriving. He's living as his life is intended to be lived. And that's attributed to the work and compassion and hearts of our CIT team. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the story of Melissa Owens. She's joined with us today, and she's given us permission to share her story. It's very brief from my part, but you'll have an opportunity to speak with her yourselves and hear from her yourselves. Melissa's a school teacher living with a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. More importantly, Melissa's living her life, thriving, and continuing to help others. Melissa's been presenting at Anne Arundel County CIT training since 2019. She courageously shares her story, including videos in her manic state with psychotic episodes, to humanize mental health and to highlight the importance of recognizing for our officers when a person is in crisis. Melissa's presentation is entitled, Patient, Not Prisoner, How CIT Saved My Life. And it details how properly trained officers worked with community resources to assist her while she was having a manic episode, to get her safely to the hospital for the mental health treatment that she needed, and essentially created a blueprint for our officers while they're training and how to help people when they're in crisis. Melissa shares her story not only of her crisis, but of her resiliency and her recovery, and to end the stigma surrounding mental health. Her story of being a successful teacher who experienced a mental health crisis but recovered and is back in the classroom has forever changed our CIT training. By sharing her story, she helps humanize that someone with a mental health diagnosis and demonstrates the crisis response system worked as officers, clinicians, mental health services, and family members all came together to assist her. Could we please just take a moment to acknowledge, recognize, and thank our community champion, truly, Melissa. And in addition to how we support our community, we also offer robust peer support and wellness programs for our police officers, our professional staff, and their families to ensure they receive holistic assistance and resources should the need arise. As we know, this is a demanding and dangerous profession where our employees experience a voluminous amount of trauma throughout their careers. So it's incumbent on us to ensure they and their families receive appropriate resources and assistance to help them remain mentally, physically, and spiritually fit. And as I wrap up, I want to highlight that today's recognition is significantly important because it illustrates how we lead the way here in Anne Arundel County as a model, training other law enforcement agencies, other mental health agencies in the state, helping to expand CIT programs throughout the state, and by developing a statewide best practice curriculum. I personally want to extend my thanks, and I know everyone in this room shares the same sentiment when I say thank you to Ms. Jen Corbin and Lieutenant Steve Thomas. They both serve as our crisis intervention team leadership. Thank you for the work that you do and your leadership. They've been here from the very beginning of our CIT program and have vastly contributed to our team's growth and success as our crisis intervention team receives this prestigious honor today. It's my honor to serve in this forward-thinking county, and my comment expression, sentiment to Anne Arundel County is keep raising the bar. Our community depends on us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We'll open it up to any questions members of the media might have, and just keep in mind we'll make people available for interviews afterwards as well if there are any questions. All right. Thank you for joining us.